Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Every family has its secrets. Every family has its fractures. But what happens when those fractures cut through the very heart of a monarchy that has survived wars, abdications, and scandals stretching back centuries? This is not just a story of a prince and his father. It is the story of a woman caught between worlds, a mother forced to face a choice that could change everything, not only for her children, but for the future of the crown itself. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Here, we uncover the untold truths, the hidden dramas, and stories that history books often leave in the shadows. Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, is set to return to London. His reason, at least on paper, is noble. He will attend the Well Child Awards, a charity event close to his heart. But beneath the official schedule, whispers grow louder. Could this visit mark the first fragile step towards reconciliation with his father, King Charles III? Reports suggest that a line of communication has already been opened between Harry's team and Buckingham Palace. Quiet exchanges, careful words, a dance of diplomacy in the shadows. The hope, at least for some, is that father and son might finally sit down in the same room for the first time since Charles's cancer diagnosis last year. But if such a meeting does take place, the tremors will be felt far beyond palace walls. Because this isn't just about Harry and Charles. Standing in the shadows of this potential reunion is Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, and according to royal experts, she could be facing one of the most agonizing choices of her life. Meghan Markle has long been a lightning rod in this royal storm. To some, she is a woman of courage, carving her own path against impossible odds. To others, she is the outsider who challenged centuries of tradition and pulled Harry further from the family that shaped him. But behind the headlines lies something far more intimate. Meghan the mother, in her recent Netflix series with Love, Meghan, she admitted something that stopped many in their tracks. She revealed that being apart from her children, Archie and Lilibet, for nearly 3 weeks left her feeling not well. It was the longest separation she had ever endured. Her voice, steady yet laced with emotion, made clear how deeply she treasures her role as a hands-on mother. And now, as Harry's path bends once more toward Britain, Meghan is caught between two worlds. Should she join her husband in a tentative step toward reconciliation with the family she once stood beside? Or should she remain in California, close to her children, protecting them from the very institution she has publicly criticized? This isn't speculation plucked from the air. Royal commentator Duncan Larkham has warned that Meghan's decision will not be simple, and whichever road she takes, it carries enormous consequences. If Meghan chooses to stand by Harry's side, she will have to look into the eyes of those she has spoken out against. She will have to walk once more in the shadows of Windsor, where her presence has always been charged with tension. And if she chooses not to come, if she allows Harry to face his family alone, perhaps even with the children in tow, then her absence will not go unnoticed. It will be interpreted as a deliberate snub, another crack in the already fragile bridge between her and the monarchy. Either way, Meghan's choice will be headline news. But the stakes are even higher than that. Her decision could shape not only her public image, but also the very narrative of Harry's reconciliation with his family. It's impossible to ignore the shadows of history here. Harry and William once walked shoulder to shoulder behind their mother's coffin, bound by grief and the weight of expectation. That moment symbolized unity, resilience, a bond the world believed would never break. And yet, decades later, the bond lies fractured. Harry stands apart, his wife and children across the ocean, while William holds fast to tradition and duty. Now, Meghan finds herself in a dilemma that Diana herself once knew all too well: the suffocating expectations of the crown versus the raw needs of a mother's heart. But Meghan is not Diana. Meghan is outspoken, ambitious, fiercely protective of her children, and unafraid to challenge the structures around her. Royal watchers argue that these very traits make her incompatible with the silent, obedient role expected of royal women. Unlike Kate, who has learned to move quietly within the boundaries of the firm, Meghan refuses to blend into the background. That independence, that refusal to bow, is both her strength and her greatest clash with the monarchy. The issue of safety only complicates things further. Harry has repeatedly declared that he will not bring Meghan or their children to the UK until proper security is guaranteed. He has spoken, in haunting detail, of the threats that linger, knives, acid attacks, dangers that sound extreme but are rooted in his genuine fears. Without the taxpayer-funded security he once enjoyed, Harry feels the risk is simply too great. So here lies the paradox. A father longing to bridge the divide with his own father, a wife unwilling to compromise the safety and stability of her children, and a monarchy unyielding in its traditions. The tension builds, each choice carrying weighty consequences. If Meghan travels to the UK, she risks reopening old wounds in the harsh glare of the media spotlight. If she stays behind, she risks becoming the scapegoat, blamed for keeping Harry from his roots. And if Harry brings the children without her, Meghan faces the unbearable pain of separation once more. So what will Meghan choose? Will she risk walking once more into the lion's den of royal life, or will she protect her distance, even if it means deepening the divide? And in doing so, will she become the villain in the story of Harry's reconciliation, or the silent guardian of her children's future? One thing is certain. Whatever path she takes, the eyes of the world will be watching, because this isn't just about a charity event in London, or even a father and son seeking common ground. This is about the survival of relationships, the survival of trust, and perhaps even the survival of the monarchy's image in an age when truth is impossible to contain. Two worlds, one bound by centuries of duty, ritual, and silence, the other by freedom, ambition, and family-first devotion. At the center of this storm is Meghan Markle, torn between them both. Royal experts believe her next move will not only define her own story, but shape the narrative of Harry's return. And yet, this is not just Meghan's battle. It is Harry's too. Because for every step he takes toward his father, he risks drifting further from his wife. It is a dilemma few could endure, let alone under the merciless scrutiny of millions. A son, yearning for reconciliation. A wife unwilling to surrender her children to an institution she mistrusts. And a father, King Charles, waiting in silence, his decision hanging like a pendulum over the entire monarchy. If Harry and Charles do meet, it will be the first time since February of the previous year, when Charles's health struggles became public knowledge. That meeting was brief, hurried, overshadowed by uncertainty. Since then, months of silence have stretched between them. Now, as reports claim every hope of a reunion, many wonder, what will they say to each other? Will Charles, weakened by illness, choose to extend an olive branch? Or will father and son sit across from one another with words guarded? Every sentence weighed, their hearts barricaded by years of hurt? And above all, where does Meghan fit into this fragile equation? Her children are her anchor. She has made no secret of this. In her own words, being separated from Archie and Lilibet left her not well. A confession so raw, it struck a chord with mothers everywhere. To Meghan, time with her children is sacred. Every moment apart feels like something stolen. But to be a royal mother is to live in sacrifice. Every trip, every duty, every ceremony comes first. And this, royal watchers argue, is where Meghan's path diverges most sharply from the crown. Kate, the Princess of Wales, has mastered the balancing act. Children raised in a palace, lives scripted by tradition, security guards in tow wherever they go. But Meghan, she refuses to accept a world where her children grow up in a gilded cage. So if Harry decides to reconcile with his family, Meghan will face a choice that could haunt her. Will she step once more into the palace she left behind, standing beside her husband as the world watches her every move? Or will she remain in California, close to her children, but risk being cast again as the outsider, the one who turned her back on Britain? Royal expert Duncan Larcombe put it bluntly. Meghan faces an exceedingly difficult choice. If she joins Harry, she must confront those she has openly criticized. If she stays behind, she risks being painted as the wedge driving father and son further apart. Either road leads to consequences, each more unforgiving than the last. The last time Meghan walked beside the royal family was after Queen Elizabeth II's death in 2022. The world watched as she, Harry, William, and Kate greeted mourners outside Windsor Castle. It was a rare moment of unity, but fleeting. Since then, Meghan has not returned in any official capacity. That walkabout, under the shadow of grief, may have been her final bow as a royal in Britain. And perhaps that is why this looming choice feels so heavy. Every step Meghan takes now is not just personal, it is historical. But behind Meghan's dilemma lurks a darker undercurrent: fear. Harry has made it clear he sees real danger in bringing Meghan back to the UK. In interviews, he has spoken of threats: acid, knives, attacks too horrifying to dismiss. Without the security he once enjoyed, Harry refuses to expose his family to risks he believes are real and imminent. And so another wall rises between the Sussexes and the Crown. Without trust, without safety, how can reconciliation truly begin? History has a cruel way of repeating itself. Diana, too, was caught between the institution and her own humanity, between the expectations of duty and the needs of her children. Her refusal to bow entirely to tradition made her beloved to the public, but estranged from the firm. Now, decades later, Meghan treads a path eerily familiar. Different time, different woman, same clash with the monarchy. But unlike Diana, Meghan has chosen distance, carving her own world far from the palace walls. The question is, can distance ever coexist with reconciliation, or does one destroy the other? The monarchy itself now hangs in the balance of perception. To the world, this is not just a family dispute. It is a test of whether the crown can evolve, adapt, forgive, or whether it will remain bound by silence and division until it fractures completely. Every choice matters. If Meghan comes, it signals possibility. If she stays, it signals resistance. If Charles welcomes Harry, it signals healing. If he does not, it signals coldness. And William, standing firm, skeptical, resistant, remains the wild card, the heir who may never forgive. So what happens next? Will Meghan stand by Harry at the gates of Buckingham Palace, facing down those who doubt her? Will Charles open his arms to the son who has wounded him most? Or will the walls of silence grow taller, each side locked away in their own truth, while the world watches the monarchy stumble under the weight of its own fractures? In the end, perhaps Meghan's dilemma is not just about choice. It is about sacrifice. To reconcile, she may have to give up her comfort, her distance, her control. To stay away, she may have to give up the chance of peace between her husband and his family. Either way, something is lost. And that is the tragedy of the story. No matter which road they take, someone will walk away wounded. So I leave you with this question. Is reconciliation truly possible when love, duty, fear, and legacy are pulling in opposite directions? Or is this the beginning of a new chapter where the monarchy must confront not just its traditions, but its humanity? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Should Meghan return to Britain with Harry, risking tension and scrutiny for the chance of peace? Or should she protect her children and her independence, even if it means the rift grows deeper? Because one thing is certain, this is no fairy tale. This is the story of family at war with itself. And the ending has yet to be written.